Starting from the dashboard, your choice boils down to one of two things for any given event. You can work with the registrations for the event, which includes editing attendees, running reports, and sending email, or you can change something about the event, such as the dates, times, or prices. Since this event is already open for registration, we're going to be looking at the registrations. When clicking on registrations, you'll be taken to the attendee list. For each person who's registered for your event, you'll see one row on this page. Starting from left to right, the first column indicates their registration status, which we'll talk about in a moment. The yellow star here indicates that these 3 registrations are all new. We've got the registrant, the date of registration, their member number if they have one on file. The $sign column indicates whether or not the person has a balance due. In this case, Fast Freddy and Brian both have a balance due, while Tom Teacher is paid in full. The package and assignment columns indicate if there's a potential problem with the registration. If you see the red word empty here, it means that something may be missing from this registration. These days, it's very unusual to see this from a regular registration, but if an administrator has entered somebody by hand, it's possible they may have left something out of the registration, and this will call it to your attention. The member column indicates their membership status in your database in motorsportreg.com. Not approved means that the person is new, while Fast Freddy and Tom Teacher in this case are both set to approved. The first column indicates if it's their first time participating with your organization inside of Motorsport Reg. For your very first event, everyone will show up as your first time. After that, this will help indicate people who may be new to your program and may need additional hand-holding or attention. The final column, the 911 column, unfortunately, it doesn't mean you drive a Porsche. Instead, it's referring to whether or not your emergency contact information is filled out. If you see the word no here, it means this profile does not have emergency contact information on file. We think that's really important, so we call that information out. This information is required, so the only way for it to be missing is when an account is created by hand by a registrar. At the top of the page, if you have a long list of entries, you can optionally search by the person you're looking for. And we also have our 2 flags to filter by, driver attendee or instructor staff. MotorsportReg.com is designed to be a central place to put all of your registrations. If you still allow paper, fax, or mail registration, you can use the Add New Attendee link to add a person to the event directly. This way, all of your reports will be complete because all of your information will be in a single database. When adding a person by hand, you have 2 choices. You can search to find somebody already in your database, or you can create a new member and add their vehicle all in one fell swoop. Either way, this tool will let you use the registration form or skip the form and create an empty registration, whatever is easiest for you. We have many organizations who handle their on-site registration using motorsportreg.com in conjunction with a Sprint or Verizon Air card in the event that they don't have internet access at the track. Okay, back to the attendee list. Let's take a look at a single registration. What we're looking at here is the electronic equivalent of your paper registration form. At the top is the entrant, Tom Teacher, whose registration status is new. We have his entry, what we call an assignment, the combination of segment, class, vehicle, instructor, number, and group. We have some general registration information, answers to any custom questions we may have asked on the registration form. We have what this person ordered. In this case, he's an instructor for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for $100. And then we have payments and balance due. In this case, Tom paid online for $100, so he has no money currently outstanding. If you enter a registration by hand or you allow optional online payment, you can also record an offline payment. Just like recording an offline registration, entering an offline payment into Motorsport Reg ensures that all of your reports and financials will be complete. We also give you access to a credit card and e-check terminal, so you can process those things in real time. Another way of using motorsportreg.com as your on-site registration tool. Finally, If the person has a credit coming to them as a result of a refund or cancellation, you can give them a credit inside the system that they can use towards a future registration. Most of the items on this screen are edit in place. If we want to change something about his entry, his assignment, we can simply click this link and it becomes a form where we can update and adjust any of the values. If we make changes, the page will refresh with the green bar indicating that everything went successfully, and we'll now see the change we made. This is the same for the other values here as well. Underneath General Registration, we have a Per Event Instructor flag. We also have a Private and Public Notes field. The idea here is that you might put notes you want to keep private into the Private Notes field. Things like, Joe is a real pain in the butt. In the Public Notes field, you might want to put something like Joe needs a vegetarian sandwich. Although the reporting suite will allow you to print both items, the idea is that you have two fields to store information, things you might want to take with you to the track and things you might want to store inside motorsportreg.com. We can also edit the custom question answers and the packages. Anytime you make a change to these settings, the site is instantly updated and reflects those changes. There's no waiting or caching to see changes be made. The other thing we have here is a registration status. Take a look at what's available. Confirmed, new, waitlist, on hold, etc. Every registration in the system starts out as new. The organizer can then optionally move them from new to confirmed or on hold or some other status as a mechanism for workflow. These statuses are completely optional, but they do come in handy when you want to do your reporting or your email blaster because you can filter by the status. Some registrars prefer to review every registration and mark the person as confirmed once they've checked the registration out and everything's okay. Other registrars prefer not to make any changes and just leave everybody as new. If you don't change these values, nothing bad will happen. You can't break the system. But if you do change them, they will filter into some of the reports and things, as we'll see in a few minutes. This is simply a tool to help keep yourself organized, so it's up to you as to whether or not you use it. In general, competitive organizations like club racing and autocross tend to leave this as new because they don't need to do as much review of each registration. In fact, in many cases for racing organizations, the attendee is responsible for all of their selections, so there's no need for the registrar to review them. For driving school or other educational programs, or programs that require some kind of screening before a person can be confirmed, those registrars tend to use these statuses as a way to keep themselves organized about who's in, who's pending, and who needs more information. The only three statuses that motorsportreg.com will ever set are new, waitlist new if you get into an oversold scenario, or canceled. Each attendee can cancel their own registration, which will set their flag to canceled and timestamp their registration. No more he said, she said about when they sent in their cancellation notice. Notice that canceling a registration does not automatically generate a refund or a credit. That's up to the registrar to handle. Remember that motorsportreg.com does not process refunds of any kind. Usually by the time someone requests a refund, we've already sent you the money in question, so we no longer have it. In addition, Visa and MasterCard will charge you the same fee for processing the refund as they do for the original charge. Usually people aren't very interested in paying a second time to refund money back to a participant. As a result, each organization will have to cut a refund check or use an in-system credit towards a future event. More and more of our organizers are going to a credit policy instead of a refund policy, reserving a refund for those people who are really adamant about a refund. Okay, now let's take a look at the attendee list again. While you can make attendee status changes on a one-by-one basis, you can also do them in bulk. This allows you to speed up the process of reviewing and confirming registrations. Notice that we warn you about what you're going to do. The magic of the attendee list is that new registrations always sort at the top. That's another advantage of moving people to confirmed, is that you can always tell who the registrations are that you haven't seen yet. Depending upon the kind of event, You may have more than one segment, so you may have more than one assignment per registration. Let's take a look at assignments. Each registration can have more than one assignment. In this case, we have a Saturday-Sunday driving school with an optional Friday. And we can see in this list that 2 of the entrants, Brian and Tom, are attending the Friday in addition to the Saturday-Sunday piece. Simple events like a one-day school, an autocross, rallycross, or similar would only have one segment and therefore most likely one assignment per registration. But we also support the more complex scenario of a double weekend club race with a test day and enduro with volunteer registration. It can be extremely useful to make modifications to these assignments in bulk, so these tools on the left allow you to do that. First, let's look at our number assigner. If you're not using our permanent number system to enforce a certain rule for numbers, then you can also assign the numbers programmatically using our tool. Here we're looking at the numbers that are assigned for Saturday, Sunday, and we can see that one person, Brian, has 3 numbers on file. Only Tom Teacher so far has a number actually assigned. Most competitive events allow you to pick your own number, whereas educational events like driver schools, car control clinics, and so forth may assign the number automatically. In this case, we have a tool that helps support that. For these registrations, we're going to automatically assign them starting at 100 and going up. Now we can save these changes all at once. There we go. 3 assignments have been updated. This tool is also helpful if you have a club race or other competitive event and you need to resolve a number conflict. If you're using a permanent number, you'll also see that number listed here as one of the columns. This will help you identify who should have which number and what numbers are currently being used and what their other preferences are. This can be a quick way to identify what the hole is that you want to fill. Let's take a look at updating classes and groups. There are many times when you may need to make a lot of changes to a class or to a group for your registrations. This tool allows you to make those changes all at once. In this case, we can move Brian from Run Group A on Friday and Saturday to B. Again, all of these changes take place instantly. There's no waiting to see the results in reports or so forth. If you have an instructional event where you're flagging your instructors in Motorsport Reg, you can also pre-assign instructors to students using our tool. Here we're going to make assignments for Saturday, Sunday. Right now there's only one instructor in the system, Tom Teacher, and we have 2 run groups, A and B. Here we can assign Tom to both. This tool is helpful in that it'll show you how many times a person's been assigned so that you don't double book a student or double book an instructor. You can also choose to only display unassigned drivers in the drop-down list, which will simplify that even further. As with the other tools, you can save all of these changes at once so you can do them in batch. Remember, the attendee is a registration and the assignment is the combination of driver, segment, car, class, number, and instructor. You can have as many assignments as necessary per registration. Okay, let's take a look at the waitlist. We've changed 2 registrations to be waitlisted so we can see what this tool would look like. In our world, waitlist is just a status. If you get into an oversold situation and your packages are configured to allow waitlisting, then anyone who selects one of those packages for their registration will be put on the waitlist. Once on the waitlist, people will appear on this page where you can then choose them and move them back into the event. Remember that we don't automatically email the person when you make this change. We don't want to be presumptuous about what you may need to do, including collect payment details, contact the registrant, or something else. We also don't force you to pick from the waitlist in any particular order. If you want to cherry pick who makes it into the event, you're welcome to do so. Let's take a look at our logbooks. Our virtual logbook system allows you to attach notes to a member profile. These notes can be about anything your organization wants to track. Oftentimes it's used to store instructor feedback about students at a driver school, but we also see autocross programs who track when someone skips out on their work assignment. Club race programs might want to monitor who has a bad attitude at registration. Whatever's interesting to your organization can be stored using the logbook. Each logbook entry allows you to select a subject, which you simply type in a name, and who the feedback is being filed by. You can choose the entry type, which we configured during our club profile setup, a date, if it's related to a specific event, or if it's not. And then a key feature of the logbook system is that you can optionally restrict your feedback to your club only, or you can share it with all organizers who use Motorsport Reg. You can also share it with all organizers and the person it's about. The benefit to this is that as organizers enter more feedback into the system, other organizers will benefit from that feedback by having background information on new participants. If you're a new customer, you may see some of your existing participants pop up with feedback from other clubs that they've run with. We recommend that all clubs share the information among organizers. Of course, you can do this on a per logbook entry, so if you have something particularly inflammatory that you may want to keep to yourself, you can always restrict it to just your club. Using our familiar rich text editor, you can type in whatever you need. And save the logbook entry. There are no limits as to how many logbook entries you can make, so anything you want to store, feel free to enter into the system. Okay, let's take a look at the Email Blaster. The Email Blaster will let you email 3 groups of people: everyone in your member database inside of Motorsport Reg, everyone attending an event, and everyone not attending an event. This will generally handle the vast majority of your transactional and organizational emails. Starting with the first dropdown, you can choose between everyone in your database, only those people flagged as drivers attendees, or only those people flagged as instructor staff. You can filter by member status. You can restrict this to just one particular event. You can also say, don't restrict by event, and this will let you email everyone in the database. If we restrict it to an event, we have the option to reverse it, which means send the message to everyone not attending this particular event, which is a great way of promoting an already open event to gain new registrations. You can filter based upon payment status and the registration status. Here's the first place that we're seeing the registration status come in as a filtering tool, and one of the reasons you might want to move people from new to some other status. In a driving school scenario, it may be common to review each registration to make sure the vehicle the person is bringing meets the standards of the organization. Some organizations, for example, don't support convertibles, hold status. As you create a pool of on-hold registrations, you could then use the Email Blaster or the reports to filter down just to on-hold and send only those people an email informing them of the problem. Each of these statuses is like a bucket that you can put registrations into in order to help you filter and get the reporting exactly the way you want. Of course, if you leave everyone as new, that's fine too. On this screen, we have an email composition window. You can change how the email will appear for the sender. You can review who the message is going to. You can optionally remove individual recipients by checking their name. You'll see it updates the number of people who will receive the message to 3. You can also paste in additional email recipients. If you already have a list of emails or addresses from some other system, a spreadsheet or a mailing list, you can paste those addresses into this box and we'll send the email to those people as well. Finally, you can update the subject and then enter both a plain text and a richly formatted HTML message. It's important that you send at least a plain text version, since not everybody can or wants to receive HTML email. However, if you have a nicely formatted HTML template, you can go ahead and paste it into this box. On the Help tab, we have a link to Campaign Monitor, who has made available 30 free HTML templates that you can use for your own email. Let us know if you have questions. Once you've completed your message and you click the Send Message Now button, it will confirm that you really want to send the email. Once you say OK, the email's gone. There's no way to stop it. So do your proofreading before you send the message, not after. Back to the top. Now let's look at reports. Out of the box, motorsportreg.com includes about 20 to 25 pre-packaged reports that cover various things like your member database, your attendees, your assignments, and financials. In addition to these spreadsheet-style reports, we also have a series of what we call one-pagers, or detail reports, which format the information in a specific way, trying to get as much detail into one piece of paper as possible. You can either customize our existing reports, or you can create a new custom report from scratch. Let's take a look at one of our assignment reports. Steward list sorted by class. Each report has some defaults. In this case, only Brian shows up. Let's take a look at how we can customize this report for your needs. Under Edit, we can see all of the available columns in the left-hand box, and all of the included columns in the right-hand box. To move a field from left to right, we simply double-click. Once in the right-hand box, we can move it up and down using the up and down arrows to adjust the order that it will appear left to right. While most of the fields are available a la carte, there are some things that we receive all or nothing, and that includes the inventory items, the custom question answers, and the club question answers. For these things, we change the radio buttons to be yes or no to receive those values. Once we're happy with the content of the report, then we can filter it. On the Filter Group and Sort page, we have the option of restricting it to a particular segment. If we wanted to receive the entry list for Friday only, we could limit this report to just Friday or just Saturday, Sunday. This is one of the features of having multiple segments in an event. You can filter the reports down to just what you need to see. We also have grouping controls. In this case, we're going to group this one by segment, so we'll have all of our Fridays together and all of our Saturday, Sundays together. You can filter by the registration status, the membership status, by class, group, attendee status. In this case, we're going to choose to see all attendees, not just drivers, and so forth. You also have control over the sorting. With those updated values, now we see more information. We're also including Tom Teacher. See, the report is broken out by Friday and Saturday, Sunday. The various default reports will give you different ideas on how you can tailor the reports for your own needs. In this case, let's pretend that we wanted to do some change that wasn't possible inside of Motorsport Reg. For example, maybe we wanted to change the paid in full column to be bright red, indicating that we need to collect payment from that person at the event. That's not something we can currently do in Motorsport Reg, so instead we'd want to do it in Microsoft Excel. In that case, we can export this report, and we can choose one of three formats: Excel, CSV, or Tab. Generally, people will want Excel, but if you're trying to integrate with a third-party piece of software, like a timing and scoring package, CSV or Tab are the more common choices. On the other hand, let's say that this report was exactly what we wanted, and we just wanted to print it directly. Here we can choose from a variety of print formats. PDF is usually the most common and the best. You can optionally choose between portrait or landscape modes, and you can also insert page breaks between each group. In our case, selecting this option would put a page break between Friday and Saturday, Sunday, starting Saturday, Sunday on a fresh piece of paper. If you plan to post these entry lists at the event, that can be a useful way of putting it on multiple pieces of paper. If this report was just the way we liked it, then there's no sense in redoing this configuration every single time. Instead, we can save it as a custom report. Now the report has been saved. If we go back to the list of reports, we'll see it shows up here at the top. And with just one click, an advantage of this system is that the report is not locked to the person who creates it. In fact, anyone with administrative access to your organization will also be able to see and run this report. As people come and go from your team, this helps keep the institutional knowledge for your organization inside Motorsport Reg and not locked to any single account. For competitive organizations like Autocross or Club Racing, there are some standard timing and scoring packages that we support directly. These include Axware, and our live system also has an A and B orbits export. Both of these will give you one-click exports for those timing and scoring packages. In the event of the Axware report, it's a little bit special in that the headers have been replaced to match what Axware demands. If your solo program uses Axware, it's important that you use these two reports. Finally, we also support creating mailing labels or name tags from your registration data. This can be a really handy way of replacing an existing mail merge you may perform. And for treasurers, we include 3 different reports. The event financial, which shows all the fees, who paid, how much, and what the net is per event. We also include the pay period statements, which shows a history of all the direct deposits we've made and any outstanding credits. If your organization handles accounting on the accrual basis, you'll need to account for any outstanding credits when your year-end happens. Going back to the top, one thing you might have noticed is that all of these tools were under the Open Registration tab. We also have 3 other tabs related to this event. Generally speaking, all of the tools are the same from tab to tab, full of exceptions. Under the Post-Event tab, there's also a Refunds and Credits Refunds directly. We can help you identify and reconcile those registrations that require either a refund or credit. In this case, we need people to be flagged as canceled. So let's update a couple of registrations. Normally, the person would cancel themselves, so the organizer would not be required to do this. On this screen, we can see how, with the 2 people who are canceled, they're automatically pulled up. It shows the fees that they're due, how much they paid, if anything, and how much their credit should be, or refund. If you're going to perform a refund outside the system, you don't want to submit this. However, if you intend to give an in-system credit towards a future event, you can use this tool to automatically generate it, including if it's valid for only a specific event, when and if it expires, and a note to go along with it. This is a really fast way of reconciling all of your refunds after an event. In addition to the links that we see here at the top, certain plans or customers may see additional tools. SCCA regions, for example, will also have a weekend membership tool that allows them to remit their weekend memberships electronically. Premium plan customers will also see a payments tool that allows them to process payments in batch at any time of their choosing. You can take a look at the documentation for more information about each one of these tools. At this point in the tour, usually we show you the most important thing that will teach you all day. At the very bottom in the footer of the site, where it says Copyright Pucka Software, at the end of the line, it says Contact Customer Service, and it includes our phone number. This appears on every single page of the site. So if you find yourself stuck and can't find an answer in the online documentation, either send us an email or pick up the phone and call. We're here to make your job as an organizer easier and more fun. So let us do that. Okay, this concludes the initial video training. I hope you found this helpful. Take a look at the online documentation for more information and more specifics based upon the kind of events that you run.